Hey guys, before we get started today, we wanted to take a minute to thank you, the listener, for tuning in and proving you have a growth mindset. Our mission is to curate information from the top influencers around the world. We provide you with real, actionable steps on how to improve in all areas of your life, whether you own a business, are a C-suite exec, have an entrepreneurial mindset, or you're just starting your journey of self-development. Professional development is all about growth, and if you're not growing, you're dying. If you enjoy this content, please help us help others by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Here we go.
Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for listening today. So today we are on episode 20, and that is belief. So we're going to talk about kind of our takes on what we have around the influencer world. And then Colin actually hit us with the influencer of the week. That's going to be Lewis Howes over at the School of Greatness. And then Bobby is going to have just the tip for us. And that's going to be on meditation and mindfulness. Thanks for the help, Bobby. All right, guys, what's going on? We are on episode 20, and it's belief. So I guess before we get started on that, we are in the week between Christmas and New Year's. It's been a busy week, but how was the Christmas?
Good.
Did you guys all get together with your family, or did everybody distance?
I mean, what about the elephant in the room?
Together.
I mean, Colin got engaged.
Colin.
Oh, shit.
Hey.
Look at that.
It's the second time it's happened to me today.
Oh, yeah.
That's your engaged?
I was talking to somebody for a while, and they're like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you," and I kind of forgot. So,
hey,
congrats!
So how'd it go?
So to anybody that's out there listening, by the way, you're officially dubbed the OnlyFans. Hit Colin on Instagram.
If he can do it, you
tell
can
him
do
congrats.
it.
Absolutely.
McNeil family insurance.
So how did Paige do it? She get down on the knee and everything?
She did. She did. Yeah, and I was totally surprised.
It was caught you off guard.
But for real though, it's a lot more nerve-wracking than I thought it was going to be. I mean, you guys, were you guys nervous when you did it?
I was not.
No.
Hey, was your voice
ice
crackling more than the first podcast that you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. Is that our first episode?
Oh, yeah.
Our first episode? Man,
Yeah,
I didn't know I
that
had a
was back
crackly voice.
No, that was just the first episode.
Just the first episode.
You got the jitters out.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Okay.
Puberty.
Okay.
Do I have that?
Yeah, every day.
No, Dan, you're just a fucking natural. What do you think?
You're the best, Dan.
But yeah, it was awesome. Thanks, guys.
No worries.
Congrats on that. Anything else happen over Christmas?
No, I mean, usually I take this week off of work, and I've been at work every single day. So, been a little stressful. Wanted to have a little bit of break, and haven't got it yet.
Yeah.
Separation season.
That's it.
So, yeah, we had like 5 Christmases to go to.
What's separation season?
You know, it's when you're fucking working, everybody around you sitting on their ass enjoying the holidays.
Oh, they mailed it in?
Yeah, they mailed it in.
Yep.
You're fucking dominating still. Just separating yourself from the pack.
That's what champions do,
Just
Dan.
fucking killing it.
Hell yeah.
So
I love hearing
that's
that.
separation season.
Nice.
Damn right.
I thought it might have been like a getting divorced type thing that you were talking
It could
about.
be. I mean, a lot of people do
confused.
get divorced. I think at the beginning of the year, they get past the holidays.
Mm.
I think that's a thing.
You know
One last
what?
thing for the
Fuck
kiddos.
you. I'm out.
They get their presents.
Yep.
Thanks
Is
for
that
the
a real
ring.
statistic?
I think so.
don't-
I don't know the exact one, but I do think at the beginning of the year, most divorces are filed for.
I think it's just an assumption. I got beat up by my brother in a wrestling match.
Oh, that's right. We did
like a
see
real
Mac
fight?
get his ass beat.
What
No,
was,
it
what
was
was
just
in
wrestling.
that? What was the present?
So
that
my
you
mom
guys were
had
fighting
a
over?
gift, and she said, "All right, guys, there's 2 gifts in here." And she goes, "First person to get to the gift after we throw it gets to pick which gift they get first." And so I'm like, "Mom, there's no fucking way we're gonna fall for that. I'm 33 years old. My brother's almost 45." Sure as shit, she throws it. My brother grabs my arm.
It was on then.
Grabs my arm, starts taking off. So I grab him by the pants and just start ripping away. And then we wrestled on the ground.
Who won?
That sounds
He's
like
got
an-
old man strength, and also like I don't know.
I think you just
had
laid off the gym lately.
I had an off day. I had whatever. Yeah, there'll be a rematch.
So it's the best of everybody.
What were the gifts that were in there?
Just some fucking gloves.
Damn.
It doesn't
Same
matter
pair
though.
of gloves,
Bragging
different
rights.
colors.
Yeah.
Bragging
That's
rights
what
was
it's
the
about.
ultimate gift.
That was the win.
Yeah.
So, a 2016 study conducted by the University of Washington analyzed divorce filings in Washington State from 2001 to 2015 and found that they did peak in March and August. So I was wrong on January, but it does say following the winter and summer holidays. So I guess after
Start setting your goals. Start realizing maybe it's better to be single. You know?
Could be.
Could be.
So
Could
maybe
be.
you get divorced before you have to buy the Christmas presents.
maybe.
Nah.
You got to be strategic about everything you do.
Yeah, buy the damn presents.
All right.
On that note, let's get into the episode, which is going to be belief. So this, we actually did a pretty good job of this in letting each episode piggyback off the one before. And last week, episode 19 was on
Planning versus action.
versus action. So planning versus action, we got into a pretty good amount of detail there, even though it was a little bit brief. So I think the biggest thing off of that is, when you start taking action, is having that belief, right? When you set your goals, which was the episode before, and then you do the planning versus action, belief is what drives you. Belief is kind of what drives you through to the finish line of what is the year, the month, the quarter. And, I don't think you're going to, and I'll talk about this a little more because I want to get your guys' take, but there's a correlation to the belief that you have and the action that you're going to take. But let me get your take on it. What do you got on belief?
So for me, I think belief is very real. I mean, I don't think you can take action without believing in yourself. And I think personally, the most important and the only person really that matters to have belief in yourself is yourself. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. You can be surrounded by a bunch of assholes, but if you're the one that takes that chance and goes and does it and you believe in yourself, the odds are you're probably going to be successful. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know if you want me to get in the quote that I brought for the week on belief or you want me to hold off.
Go ahead. Let's get those out of the way.
So what I got is Simon Sinek was, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it, and what you do simply proves what you believe. So I thought that kind of rolled everything up in one, quote right there. And obviously he's pretty strong on the belief sector as well.
Yep. What do you got, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, you want me to dive in the quote or?
Yeah, let's roll with the quote.
All right, so I got two,
Overachiever.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, jinx.
Jinx, fill me a Coke.
I was going to say
What
a
is it?
kiss, but
I could see that.
You a twisted tea. right off the fucking face.
So I have, as a quote, if you can dream it, you can do it. Walt Disney. Fucking Titan. And then whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Henry Ford.
Yeah.
We've only used that like 3 times.
Have we used that one before?
Brad used it,
Brad.
then I said it like the following week or later.
Sorry, I
that
don't
same
remember what you
episode.
guys say.
God,
I don't remember what my
clearly.
wife says either.
You shouldn't remember what we say. You should remember what they said.
Yeah.
I only remember what Henry Ford said, so.
Be original, Dan. Sheesh.
Anyways, both good ones.
Good quotes.
Yep.
So I got one that's super simple. I just don't know who it's by. Don't be afraid of your fears. I really like that one. It's simple, but it's true.
That's it.
Love it.
Nice.
The one that I have is from Gandhi, and this one is: your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. So I like that just because, hey, you got to start somewhere. Like Brad said, before you can even take action, like you have to believe in yourself. You have to have belief, and basically the way that I see that is your beliefs equals your destiny. So
Yeah.
love that.
That's a really good one. Kind of outlines the steps to get there, which is great. And mine is your reality is a reflection of your strongest beliefs. And that's probably the simplest way to put it. And it kind of ties into one of the pieces that I wanted to talk about. I found a video on Tony Robbins, which we'll put this up on the website in the show notes. He's got this, I guess this loop, you could call it. So it goes from belief to potential to action to results. And what he talks about is most people have a fixed belief on how much potential that they actually have. So most people believe, and I do believe this is true, that they have little potential, right? That's why there's so many underachievers out there. So if you believe that you have a very little potential, I mean, how much action are you actually going to take?
Yeah.
Can I-
Very-
care.
Can I dive in real quick?
Yeah.
So, I actually wrote this down, and this is one of the, I don't know why I always reference this, but whenever I go on vacation, whether if I'm by a bay or whatever, you see all these fucking yachts. These are $1 million boats, $2 million, $10 million boats, whatever. And I look around and I look, and my thought process is, well, look how many fucking yachts there are. If all these fucking people can do it, there's no reason I can't do it or you can't do it. But usually the person that I'm with or whoever I'm with is like, no, that's like, okay, that'll never happen. You know what I mean? And I think that right there is the difference in belief mindset, kind of talking to your point.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it can go either way, right? Like, again, if you believe that you can do very little, then you believe you don't have the potential, you're going to take very little action and you're going to get very little results.
And you get no yachts.
And then it's this loop that just says, like, after you get those little results, you say, see, I fucking told you guys, like,
Yeah.
I can't fucking do it,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But if you start to believe in yourself, like obviously, and it sounds so cliche, right? If you just believe in yourself or believe you can achieve, but there's actually some science behind it. But I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on like, how do you get to start that belief process? Like, how do you get to a place where you can feel confident if you're coming from somebody that might not have achieved or just really like feels like they might not have lived up to their potential?
I think for me, it starts with doing what you say you're going to do. You know, following through on that stuff, and then doing that day in and day out, and then building that person, you know, who has the integrity to do what they say they're going to do. I think that builds the confidence to follow through on things. So yeah,
I personally think it was one of the words you said, Matt, which was mindset. I think you've got to get the right mindset, and often I feel like you get stuck when, like we've talked about this before, auditing your circle. You get stuck in a situation with people who bring you down, that don't elevate you. So I think if you're surrounding yourself with people like Dan said, who are like, oh no, that's not going to happen, then eventually that's going to rub off on you enough that you think that it won't happen.
You kind of just
Yeah.
give up at that point.
Yeah, and
you
that,
start to think that way.
And a lot of people are scared of failure. And something I saw to, kind of tie this into people who have really made it is Richard Branson and Jeff Bezos both agreed the same thing. And it was for entrepreneurs to succeed, they must have the right mindset and belief. If they don't believe they will fail, they won't make it. Because in order to have invention or innovation, there has to be failure involved.
Yeah, and I was actually going to start with vision. You know, like if I'm going to start on a belief, I'm going to start with the vision of whatever I do believe, you know. And if I believe that one day I'll have a fucking private jet, you know, that's not something that, you know, I personally think. I think it's possible, but that's not something that I aspire to have. I'm just saying if that is a mindset, I want to have a jet, or I want to have a company with 2,000 employees or whatever it is. I think you start with that vision, and a lot of people just don't see the fucking vision. And so I had some examples, like even at a high level, investors pass on big companies with big visions all the time, like Blockbuster. They had an opportunity to buy Netflix for $50 million, and the CEO of Blockbuster said, no, that's just a niche thing. It'll never go anywhere. And you know, but they didn't quit, right? And look at them now. They fucking put Blockbuster basically out of business. And then there's I don't know how to say this, Bessemer Venture Partners, which is a massive venture capital firm. They have they actually kind of admit they fucked up, and they have a page on their website of their like anti-portfolio. So all the companies, all the companies
awesome.
that came to them saying, hey, we have this vision, we have this dream. And they said, no, you guys, no way, this will never happen. And some of those companies that they passed on were Facebook, eBay, FedEx, PayPal, Airbnb, Intuit, and some more like fucking massive billion-dollar companies. So I just think it's interesting where like if you have that vision and you see the angle and you can see the path, then that's where I start usually.
It 100% starts with vision. You start with the vision, and then you start truly believing that you can. There's a couple of ways around it. One of them, you know, I'm pretty big on this. I think you guys are too, is affirmations. So in the book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about something called autosuggestion, which is a form of positive psychology, but they actually say it's a form of self-hypnosis where you visualize your goal and then you back it with emotion and repetition, right? Like day in and day out, like write it down, have it on a vision board, say your affirmations, like whatever it is. The more you, I guess they kind of put it in terms of your subconscious versus your conscious mind. So your conscious mind acts like a defender, and that's why you will go through your day and you'll see 5,000 different advertisements a day, but none of them will stick. But if you start seeing the same things over and over, it starts to kind of seep through. That's how affirmations work. So the more you pound that into your head, the more you just believe and keep envisioning and keep that loop up, the more you're going to start to open yourself up to opportunities and start to believe that you're actually going to be able to complete that stuff.
Yeah, that's weird. I was just listening to something today that was saying the same thing. The harder you visualize it, the more concrete it can become. Your mind almost doesn't know the difference. Like it will just automatically start guiding you in that direction, and you'll start making decisions to get to your goal.
Well, and it can be from an outside source. So I watched a documentary with Mike Tyson, and it was actually an older documentary. I think it came out in like 2006 or like a while back. But anyways, the guy who took him under his wing literally told him, no matter what, like even if he failed like no other, you're the best in the world. You're the best in the world. You're awesome. You're great. you're beautiful, whatever. Like every fucking day, it was just affirmation after affirmation after affirmation. And Mike Tyson's like, what the fuck is this guy doing? You know, but all of a sudden, like his brain is just like, I am the fucking best. I am the greatest. Like I can't beat anybody's ass. Like whatever. And that shit does work. And I actually struggle with like personal positive affirmations. I don't know why.
They can be tough.
Why is that though? Why are you saying like your self-talk can be negative just so naturally? Is that kind of what you're saying?
I don't know. I just think that there's a ton of room for improvement, and I'm always chasing a better version of myself. So that's why it's hard for me to be like, I'm the fucking best.
Self-critical.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and let's be completely fucking honest. Like, if you're sitting there and you're like, wait, this fucking book's telling me to like sit in a mirror and start telling myself
exactly
every day in every way I'm getting better and better. Like, okay. And it can feel corny and it can, but I've done it. And kind of once you move past, and I don't do it like in a mirror or any of that stuff, but I just start, all right, sometimes I look in the mirror.
He does it in the shower.
When I'm really trying to feel myself, all right?
Whoa. While you're feeling yourself.
I have pride.
Goddamn, your obliques look good today.
Who's going to edit that fucking out?
That was gold.
We're keeping that. Don't cut that.
But you can feel, again, you can start to feel super corny when you're doing this stuff, but it's when you can break past that and when you can feel emotion behind it, like whatever you're trying to be, it's visualizing yourself there, what you're doing, how you're feeling, like what completing that or doing that is actually going to make you feel like, what kind of person it's going to make you become. But it can work in the exact opposite way, right? Like your subconscious doesn't know positive or negative. It just kind of takes direction. And it talks about that in the book, doesn't it, Brad?
In Magic Thinking Big?
Yeah.
I don't remember actually that coming across. Did you read that, Colin?
I haven't picked it up since we got back.
So I remember him talking about your mind is a factory, right? And there's a negative worker and there's a positive worker.
Yeah, there is. He does talk about that. Yeah.
Foreman, right?
Yeah.
And it's like basically you can call on either of them, but whichever one that's going to come on is going to come on.
And that's going to be it. Yeah,
and that's going to be it. So.
And to me, I think the only way it's corny is if you don't take action.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like if you're sitting in front of the mirror, like saying, I'm the fucking best, and then you never do anything to make yourself the fucking best, then
it's only cheesy if it doesn't work.
Roll over and go back to sleep.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, I think of a couple different examples that come to mind of people that have done this, and then I've seen this in a show before too. But it's my brother. He actually lives at home with my parents. He's directing a film, and he's got these big ideas for it. Right, starting off as a short, gonna submit it to all these different film festivals, see if he can turn it into a feature, get some funding. That's one of my goals this year is to figure out how to help him find grants. And one of the things that he has set up right on his desk is he has this thing taped to his window of this letter that he's mocked up from the Cannes Film Festival. And he's got he had my mom put fake signatures on there of the people that approve the shorts that are on there every single year. And he looks at it every single day. And he does the same thing, those positive affirmations. So it doesn't have to be looking in the mirror. It could be writing that letter of that film festival that you want to be submitted to, or like a letter from like the president, or like some sort of way to just something to remind you to go after it and look at it every single day. And like even if it's exercise based and you're like, I want to be like, I'm going to be under 10% body fat. Like I don't say that in the mirror every single day. I don't think about that, but every single time I do look in the mirror, I'm like, shit, dude, you're getting closer. Like you're getting closer for sure. Just keep on doing the same shit day after day.
Matt actually has stuff taped to his blackboard in his office. It's pictures of himself. And I guess he did
say there's a picture of a guy in like a Speedo.
So is it me?
There is a guy.
Listen, motherfuckers.
On his board.
There's no guy in a Speedo, okay?
He's completely naked.
I'm a big proponent of a vision board, right? And so I'm like sitting there, I'm trying to figure out to myself, okay, I've never been under 10% body fat. Like, how am I going to visualize this? And so there's like a graph of people, right?
Guys.
And just so happen to be guys. And there's different percentage of body fat, right? And I've got the one that's under 10% circled. And guess who fucking hit that goal this past year?
Woo! There we go.
Proof that works.
Yeah.
He said circled, but it's actually a heart.
So I'll probably have guys on my vision board half naked every fucking year. If that's what it's going to take. I don't give a fuck.
So I want to dive in real quick. With me doing positive affirmations to myself, for some reason, I have to earn that shit before I can let myself give myself a compliment, I guess you could say. So if I know that I put in the work, like let's take golf, for example, right? If I'm going to a tournament, I know I didn't fucking prepare, or I show up to the podcast, I know I didn't prepare. I typically don't talk as much, or I won't play as well, because I know in the back of my mind, I didn't put in the work to be the best in the fucking field, or what, you know what I mean? But if I know that I put in the work, then I can give myself that credit. Like, hey, you did more work. You hit shots that nobody else fucking hit in practice. Like, you will win this tournament, whatever, right? Like, those are things that I earned the ability to give myself those affirmations. But like waking up, being fat as fuck, and just being like, damn, dude, you're fucking awesome. Like, no, there's so many things that I can work on. And I know that in the back of my head. Plus, the things, the number one motivator for me is when somebody tells me I can't do something. So sometimes I think I do that to myself.
How much weight do you want to lose?
Yeah.
Probably like 40, 45.
You can't do that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, when people tell me I can't fucking do something, that motivates me more than anything.
All right, well, that's
I
good
think
to know.
I think it's one of those more than one way to skin a cat, right?
Yeah, for
because
sure.
because I was actually going to ask you guys this, like, has there something where you started off like something, a goal, an idea that you started off like, hey, like, you knew you weren't the most confident person about like wanting to achieve that goal or get to a certain place, and so you started convincing yourself, and if so, I'm sure it happens, right? Because when you start out with something and you're nowhere near it,
Yeah.
you're like, how the fuck am I going to get there? So what are some of the steps that you guys took to, or give us the example, and then what are some of the steps that you took to help just affirm your beliefs?
So I had this happen after I got hurt. I had decided to start my own business. I bought a CNC machine. That thing showed up. I didn't even know how to turn the motherfucker on. I mean, I looked at it and I'm like, I literally have no idea what the fuck I just started, because I was lost. I mean, I literally had no idea how to turn it on, how to program it, how to do a single thing. And just from there, I mean, it was one of those deals where it was like sink or swim.
How much does a CNC machine cost?
It was probably about 60 grand.
60.
And
You bought
what is,
you
just
bought a machine
for the
60
listeners, what
grand.
does that machine do?
So it's basically computer controlled, can make pretty much anything out of metal you believe in. So that was 3 years ago, and just yesterday, my fourth machine showed up.
Mhm.
And
Fuck
now
yeah.
I'm like completely fluent with everything. So it's just like one of those deals where for me it was sink or swim. It was either you're completely fucked and you're gonna lose it all.
Oh,
or
that's
you're
that's
gonna make
throwing
it work.
yourself into the deep end for sure.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was way too much to bite off. I didn't know what I was gonna do, and we just, picked away at it long enough that we figured it out. But I mean, it was one of those deals where I literally thought I was fucked. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you come up with the idea to make to manufacture parts for racing? Like, how did
It
you
was
were
just,
you and your
it
dad
was just because I raced. So before we bought the machines, I was doing stuff like hand fabricating stuff. So
Yeah.
welding, cutting, stuff like that. So it was like just the next step.
And is it like just hard to find certain pieces? Is that why you?
It's just a niche market. So luckily I have a little bit of a name in the industry. So that kind of helped me
Yeah.
jumpstart a little
Cool.
bit.
His shit's on eBay, dude.
Yeah.
You can buy Brad's autograph on eBay.
BP Fab. Dan, did you have one?
Yeah, I mean, the way I built Belief is, again, when I first started out, you don't have a lot of business. You're just grinding. But at the end of the day, there's 18,000 other motherfuckers that do what I do or have done what I want to do. And so it's like, well, they were able to figure it out. This is something that people will eventually, buy into and work with me, and just starting to build one day at a time, knowing that it is a possibility to get there, and just follow that vision, follow the daily action items, and how many sales efforts do I need to do? How many recruiting calls do I need to do? Whatever it is. And so just sticking with it and seeing those little wins, those micro wins. And I guess that kind of reaffirmed the beliefs for me through the process.
Colin, you got any examples of that?
Yeah. So anytime I'm going after a goal, especially like a long-term goal or maybe just an annual goal, there's always like a period of time throughout the year where, like I start to get a little bit more negative, or things get a little bit more slow, and like I start to think I'm never going to hit that number. So it's really important to me to just remind myself that, I just got to keep showing up. Like just keep showing up and keep bringing it, keep making calls, keep doing what I have to do. And for the time that I missed, if I was being lazy or whatever, I got to make up for that time and work twice as hard. So the belief to just keep getting up and grinding it out until the buzzer hits, like that's what it is.
And to me, I know that Colin will like this because he's the basketball fan. Like for belief, like what about Michael Jordan? Like what? He got cut from his ninth grade,
His ninth grade,
freshman.
yeah.
So I mean, he believed in himself. That
Yeah.
motherfucker.
No
Imagine,
freshman would probably go out for the team again
Yeah.
if he got cut. Yeah.
imagine if he didn't get cut.
Yeah.
Would there be a Michael Jordan?
Or imagine if he just went and tried to play baseball.
Yeah.
You know?
I
I
mean-
mean, no.
Tom Brady, Albert Pujols.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Bob,
Sure.
any
Yeah.
specifics?
Yeah. So as far as like on the business side of things, I mean, I've hit the reset button on that a lot this year with just as far as a lot of different goals that I have. So going into this year, I know I have a big belief that there's a lot of things that I can accomplish. I'm not going to dive into them. So I'll let you know how those go whenever we have the follow-up pod on this. But for me, I know I talk about it a lot, but my weight loss journey and in sobriety, having the belief that I could do this every single day, wake up and choose not to have a drink that day and go to the gym. And after finishing 75 hard, like continuing to go to the gym, and I get a workout in almost every single day. And it's become addicting at this point. And I believe that I could lose that weight. I believe I knew what I could look like, and I'm closer to it now. And now that I'm there, I'm still not happy enough. I'm like, all right, I got to do something different. So I think
How long are you sober?
it was actually 6 months yesterday.
And is
Dude,
it
Nice.
still hard?
It's honestly, it's not. I don't miss it. There's times that are tough, but I handle them a lot differently than I used to. I actually have to process those emotions instead of getting fucked up, which is a lot of, I mean, honestly, like it felt like a really hard thing to do. And now it's like, oh, this isn't too bad.
Yeah.
So, and it's not something that everyone has to go through, obviously, but I mean, it's a decision that I made every single day, and I think about it less now, but it is something that crosses my mind every single day.
For sure. And the two of yours really remind me of that Tony Robbins quote, like the people change for one of two reasons, inspiration or desperation. And it's like you obviously had like your life needed to change or else it was going to go down a path that could be very, very bad. And you just bought a fucking big ass machine and said, well, I guess I better figure it the fuck out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I had a couple of examples when I was thinking about starting my own business. One thing that I would do, and you guys know this, like I am very much about structure. Like I like to see how things are. I come with fucking notes. I like to be prepared. And so starting my own business was super fucking scary for me because I couldn't put together the pieces beforehand. So one of the things I did was and I think I talked about this on an episode. I reached out to probably like 50 to 75 people that have already done kind of what we did, asked them to coffee, asked them for a phone call. Like that started to shape my belief. One, because there was a lot of super supportive people in the industry that would buy me lunch and say, if you need anything, I'm here. Here's what you do. But also because it was just like, and this is no offense to a lot of those people, but I was just like, if this person can do it,
Yeah.
I can fucking do
Yeah.
it. Dan was the very first person I reached out to when I saw
And
he
let's
changed
be
his,
real.
his
Dan can do it.
Yeah, if I
he
can
cha-
fucking do
He
it.
changed his shit on LinkedIn. No, Dan told me that. Dan changed his, updated his stuff on LinkedIn, and I was like, what the fuck? Like, when did this happen? Didn't even know you were thinking about branching off. We went down to, sat down for coffee, and he was just like, dude, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. And then now people, if they talk to me about starting a business, I say the same thing. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But there was also little things like I did the affirmations. I actually made my passwords, and it's changed now, so I can say this, but burn the ships. Like that was something
that.
that
I love that
always
quote.
was like, you know, whenever, I guess, what was it? I don't even know what fucking war it is, but there was a war. I'm really good at this story, by the way. I knew there was a war. They got to the bay or whatever. They like got off the boats and then they burned their ships. And they're like, we're either coming and we're just gonna take over this fucking land,
Or we're dead.
or we're dead,
Yeah.
right? Like there's no turning back. So burn the ships, burn the ships, burn the ships, and then I gave myself an end date because when I was working at Purina, it was like I had my little bit of a side hustle, so I had stability there, and then I had everything else that I made was just kind of gravy, you know. It was the cake on top, and but I knew I could easily go along and do both. So I gave myself an end date without any real clients set up or without any real like anything. And then there comes that desperation piece
Yeah.
again, right? Like a month and a half before like my end date, when I already hired and started training my replacement, I was just like, what the fuck am I gonna do? And then within like,
It's scary.
yes.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden it was just like, I gotta find something, I gotta do something. And then sure as shit, 2 weeks before I was going to be done. It was like I had a client, which was my first retained model. So I had steady income coming every year. There was more than the salary that I was making, but it was a client that I was spending like 10 hours a week on, right?
Yeah.
So those are just a couple of pieces that helped me with Believe.
Awesome. It's all awesome.
I love it.
Yep.
Hey guys, this is Colin coming at you with the Influencer of the Week. Somebody that I wanted to talk about last week, but I wasn't able to be on the podcast is Lewis Howes. I think I'm saying that right. Somebody that I've been studying and researching a little bit. I found myself listening to his podcast called The School of Greatness. And to me, out of all the influencers, out of all the podcasts that I listen to right now, I think he's got the best roster. He's got Mike Tyson, Kobe Bryant, Mel Robbins, you name it. There's a lot of other people on there. So I started digging into him and I started trying to figure out who was he? You know, like what makes this guy so special? Are you looking at my socks?
I don't think anybody was fucking looking at your socks.
I'm looking at your socks now.
Anyway, I'm sorry.
Colin's easy to throw off.
Yeah, so I started looking into him a little bit, and I instantly became an even bigger fan. So he's an author of 2 best-selling books, The Mask of Masculinity and The School of Greatness, which is what his podcast is named after. This guy, he started a sports networking group to connect clients with like the sporting industry, with sporting agents, executives with professional sports teams, and he's got about 140,000 clients. So he started this podcast. I don't exactly remember where or when it started, or but he's got one notable episode that really kind of stuck with me for the last couple of years, and it's with Kobe Bryant, and the bulk of it is about how, like, I think it was 2004 when everything kind of started taking a turn for Kobe, like when he, cheated on his wife and all that stuff. And, everything, he had just come off 3 championships and, everything kind of started turning on him. Shaq had just left and he was a young guy dealing with a lot of heat in LA. So he talks about how he had to compartmentalize and create an alter ego. And that's where the Black Mamba was created, and Mamba Mentality, which went on to be his brand, his shoe, his clothing. He even built a sportplex for pro athletes to go train there, called Mamba Mentality. It all came from that moment. So Kobe was the guy who would go home, play with his kids, be a good husband, be a supportive husband, and the Black Mamba was the guy who went out and he was just like, I had more fire in my belly than I ever had before, and it was just like, fuck everybody. I'm just gonna go rip everybody's head off. And I mean, the rest is history. He changed his number to 24, won 2 more championships, went to 3 more NBA finals. And for me, like I love a story like that. I love a guy who's been at the top, gets knocked down, and just can build himself back up. Like it's just so natural. There's no wonder why he's at the top of the heap and one of the greatest of all time. But for anybody who is, especially now, who is dealing with some hardships, like it's not too late. Like you can rebrand yourself, you can rebuild yourself. Just get to work, basically. Like what Kobe said was, I was the first one in, the last one out. I worked harder than anybody. I worked out 4 times a day. I was up before anybody else woke up. And he's like, and I was the last one to leave. He's like, sometimes I get 2 workouts in before the sun even came up, and then I go eat breakfast, hang out with my family, and then I, sleep, whatever. And then I get another 2 workouts in the evening. And he just talks about the hours that he put in is why he is who he is. And I think there's a lot to be said about that. Like you talk about separation season. That's very true. I'm busier than I've been all year right now. And it's like, I know a lot of people who are taking off this week, took off last week. It's like, I can't afford to do that. Like I got food to put on the table and, but a wedding to pay for. But yeah, so, and Lewis Howes, I think to me epitomizes this episode because of how many times he was knocked down. The guy was an All-American high school athlete, D1 offers on the table. Senior year tore his ACL, ended up going to a smaller college and still holds Division I records for, I think it's yards in a game, which is 415. And I don't remember how many catches, but I think he holds the record still to this day, Division I NCAA. And then went on to play arena football, got hurt, career was over, and he built himself right back up. He built himself a very successful podcast and wrote 2 books, and that's a fucking winner. That's who I want to hear from.
And he's a storyteller, man. Like, you listen to his podcast and it just flows. Like, he's so good.
Yeah, that's exactly why I like him so much, is because I really like that pace that he has to his podcast. Really like the flow of the conversation that he has with everybody, and the questions that he asks. I feel like they dig in deep, and so then he also does like a 5-minute Friday where he like just gives life advice. It's kind of like our Just a Tip, he just gives life advice for 5 minutes, and it just talks about how you can apply all the principles that you learned from his podcast to your life. So, Matt, I'll kick it back to you, buddy.
Cool. Thanks for that, Colin. And then last but not least, Robert's going to hit us with the tip of the week.
Robert is going to hit us with the tip of the week. Oh, God, that sounds dangerous. All right, well, I have multiple tips of the week to represent all of us guys here. So what I want to talk about in this week's segment is just some tips around how to be a little bit more mindful. So mindfulness is something that I've been practicing a lot since I got sober, was not good at it early on. Still I'm not great at it, but there's a lot of things that I'm doing. Colin, you actually tagged me in a LinkedIn post asking about some meditation like just some tips and ideas, and I sent you over something, so check that out.
There's just clearly levels to it, like I've done it at a very beginner stage, and I just want to know how to get better.
Sure. So the app that I use is actually called Simple Habit, and it was funny, we were out in Colorado, and Matt and I were on our hike, and I'm sitting there, and we get back from our hike in Vail, and I was like, shit, I just got charged $90 for something. I was like, oh no, it's fraud. And I looked at it, and it was like, Simple Habit charged you $90. Your 30-day trial is up. And I was like, oh shit, I forgot I signed up for that. And it was funny because I literally meditated the day before whenever I had kind of a rough morning. And I was like, all right, well, Matt said, hey, this is a sign that you need to start using this. So I've been using it. I've used it almost every single day since then.
Get your money's worth.
I am now. $90 for a year. Hopefully it's worth it. But so as far as just trying to be more mindful, meditating is something that is something that is really recommended there. Taking just even 5 minutes to just sit there, catch your breath, find your breath, and those apps can help you do things like that. Some other tips: focus on one thing at a time. A lot of times people want to focus on responding to an email while they're on their phone, or taking their dog for a walk, or trying to pay attention to their kid while accomplishing something else. And the only things that were truly meant to multitask were computers. They can do that, but us as humans, we're not able to do that as well. So try and focus on one thing. Slow down. This is something that I have a lot of trouble with, is moving, talking slower, because I am so go, go, go. So taking deep breaths. For a little quick tip for anyone who does any public speaking: if you do talk too fast, clench your butt cheeks. Swear to God, it works. You will talk slower. Think about it next time. Eating mindfully. So like literally, it sounds crazy, but like chewing your food all the way before you swallow it. Like little things like that. Keeping your phone and computer time in check. I actually did this on Monday this week. I was talking to a friend over the weekend about how I wanted to spend less time on social media. And Matt, you actually were talking about this prior to, I think, right around the retreat, but I actually went and set up screen time where I can only be on Facebook and Instagram on my phone for 10 minutes a day. Because on your phone, it's really easy to scroll. I do use Facebook a lot for my job, but like to research different points of contact at businesses, things like that. So that is the only place that I'm using it right now, except for to scroll for a couple minutes in the morning. And then I'm not able to get back on it. So that's something that I recommend doing. Moving, so just getting up, going out for a walk. That's how I first started my weight loss journey. I was like, I don't know where to start. I'm 255 pounds and I need to lose some weight. And I just started walking every single day. Those turned into 8-mile walks. I started losing a pound a day. And I felt a whole lot better. And then lastly, spend time in nature. A lot of times we get so caught up in our devices and like constant stimulation, and that's usually driven by technology. Where if you think about what we were born in, like as far as like the first humans were just out in nature all the time, they didn't have those kinds of distractions. So I find myself getting out to a lot of just parks like Castlewood or Bluffview Park and go for a walk for an hour and just be a little bit more centered. So those are just, I know that was a few different tips, but those are my recommendations for mindfulness here for the week.
Cool. I got a quick question. Does everybody know their screen time?
I don't even.
I do now because
mine.
I've been looking at it. It's bad.
I know it's atrocious. I don't know what it is.
I don't track
I
mine
know it's fun.
just because of that.
8 hours and 2 minutes today.
Really?
Most of that, well, literally I fall asleep watching Hulu on my phone. So that's 3.5 hours of the entertainment on there. And then an hour 27 of social media.
4:30. When did you take a nap?
It was at midnight. It was after midnight that it was just continuing to run on my phone.
45 minutes on Pornhub.
I fell asleep on Pornhub.
It just kept rolling. It was a really long video.
Compilation.
But the fucking storyline on that thing, I tell you.
Great.
Yeah.
Shit.
All right. Anything else?
No, I
I think we covered a lot today, and I think we're about to get kicked out anyway. So we appreciate you guys. You, the OnlyFans. Keep
The OnlyFans.
Keep listening. Keep sharing, subscribing. Feel free to reach out to us, whether it's email or social media. And we will be back next week with episode 21, which I don't even fucking know what it's going to be yet. So we'll figure it out.
Figure it out.
See ya.
Thanks, guys.
Later.